Hey everybody, and welcome to Chapter 8 of Principles of Marketing. We're going to talk about marketing segmentation, targeting, and positioning. Now, these three terms all kind of work together in that the idea is to find the person who wants to buy your product, and you should then spend your energy and focus dealing with the person who's most likely to buy your product. So we are going to divide the population up. We're going to find which part of the population is most interested in our product, and then we're going to go after that part of the population. And if you think about it, it just makes sense. I can waste a lot of time and money if I try and go after everyone, because not everyone is going to buy what I am selling. So what I should do is focus my time and energy and resources to get the most return. So like right here, segmentation is a key to success. Only focus on those who are going to shop and buy your product. So in this case, we're talking about Zappos, and they're only going to focus on those people who are going to buy online because that's where their business model is. So appealing to everyone, it makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense for them to go after a market that isn't going to likely buy online. So if you think about it, they're probably not going to sell a lot of orthopedic shoes for elderly people because that's the group that's least likely to make that purchase online. So, why go after that group? Zappos is an interesting story. They really focus on customer service. And they stress that they allow their employees to solve problems for their customers in whatever way works best. They give some general guidelines, but basically they get a lot of freedom for their employees on how to solve problems for their customers. And the goal is they want to build long-term relationships. Because what they're seeking to do is to get you thinking, when I buy shoes, I go to Zappos. I go to zappos.com, and when I buy shoes, and so there is no alternative, that it would take some effort to pull you away from buying from Zappos. So they go a real long way to try and ensure an excellent customer service experience. So what is segmentation and differentiation? What do I mean when I'm talking about that? So segmentation is I want to divide the market up. So market segmentation means basically what I do is I want to look at my market, and then I want to divide my buyers up into groups, and I'm going to do it based on either that they have common needs or that they're going to respond similarly to the action I take. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and divide my potential customers up into groups. So let's say men and women. Men and women, depending on the product, may have different attributes that they're looking for. But we can break that down even more. Maybe it's going to be men. We're going to take the men market, and what we're really going to be looking at is men ages 18 to 25. That's a more narrow market. Maybe it's going to be men 18 to 25 who have college education. And so that market gets narrower and narrower. But in order for that market to make any sense, they also have to be able to respond. So one, they have something in common, and two, they're going to respond in a similar way. So that's how. Then you have a successful market segmentation. And then the other part of this is product differentiation, which is I am going to try and help the consumer perceive my product as being different or better than competing brands, that there's some attribute in my product that makes it better. My product, fights cavities. My product has lower calories. And we'll compare it to, whatever the standard product is we're competing against, and say this is how our product differs, and that's what makes our product better. Why you should buy our product. So market segmentation, the first step is we're going to look at what the market needs. So we look at in terms of, maybe product features that when people are looking at a product, if they're looking at a food product, let's say maybe what they want is something that's available in individual portion sizes. That may be the product feature they're looking at, or it may be expense that people are willing to spend a certain amount of money. Maybe they have they have a lot, it's a product they're willing to spend more on or less. So think about cigarettes. In America, it's normal we buy cigarettes in packs of 20. But in a lot of developing countries, it's normal to actually buy cigarettes individually. And that is, they're changing the product to kind of meet the amount of expense that the local market is willing to bear. Maybe we do it in terms of quality. Some products are known for exceptional quality, and you pay for that. You pay extra for that reputation, and also savings of time and convenience. Um, the market, think about a convenience store. You pay more for products in a convenience store, but you're paying for having it when and where you need it. If you need, a bottle of Pepto-Bismol at 2 in the morning, that's where you can go. So you pay more, but you're paying for that convenience to save the time, not to have to wait until early in the morning. Then we take the steps to segment and target the market, so to divide the markets up and then find a way to approach the markets. And then the last step is the marketing action, or the marketing program action, is that we're going to take our marketing mix, the 4 Ps, the product, price, promotion, and place, the 4 things that we can control, and we're going to put them together in such a way that it appeals to this market segment that we've identified. So if we've noticed that expense, like I said with the cigarettes, well, we're going to change the price, and we're going to change the product. We're going to change the packaging so it's an individual cigarette instead of a pack of cigarettes, and then we're going to price it accordingly. So all these 4 things are the things that we can play with to try and reach these markets. So here is what's called a market product grid, and here we have the product is pillows. And so we have the market's been divided up in the segments, or we have people who sleep on their side, people who sleep on their back, and people who sleep on their stomach. And then we have different products, firm pillows, medium pillows, and soft pillows, that appeal to the different markets. And with the grid, we can see, well, firm pillows appeal to side sleepers. So that tells us right there, that starts informing us on how we should create and direct our marketing program. So how do we divide up a market? There are there are many different ways to segment a market. There aren't very many mass markets anymore. If you think about the way media is, there's no way to reach everyone through a single media anymore. There's no longer, when there were 3 television networks, it was pretty easy to have commercials that reached everyone. That's not when when people bought a lot of magazines, it was easier to advertise in magazines to reach large markets. The market is more fragmented there. We all kind of pursue the type of media that we like. And as such, there is no longer like this major one source for everyone type of medium. And so it gets harder to have a single large market. Now we have many smaller markets. So we have different approaches we use to try and make our products fit with the markets that we have. So here's one idea. We can have one product for multiple market segments. So think about books. Now, if you go to a bookstore, Harry Potter will probably be in the young adult, and it'll have, if you look, these are the exact same book from the same publisher. And if you look at it, one is marketed towards younger people, children, with the kind of cartoony cover, and so that'll probably show up in bookstores. The other one, which has the more kind of ambiguous, not really adult, but the more ambiguous cover of just the stone on the front, that's actually the airport edition, where you're more likely to be selling to adults. And so here they have created one product, but they're selling it in multiple markets by slightly altering it. So we can have multiple products in multiple markets. So like cars, if you think about, we can take Chevrolet, for instance. They have a small, inexpensive car. They have a large family sedan. They have a sporty car. They have multiple cars. They go after multiple segments. So they have multiple products going after these multiple segments. And the needs of the segment are different. The person who drives a truck, their needs are probably different than the person who drives an economy car. And so that's how they've divided up the market. And then we have this segments of one, or what's called mass customization. And this has come about largely as a result of the internet. So mass customization means that I can design a product to appeal to one person. I can take a product and customize it to fit the needs of a single person. So here I've got two links that I encourage you to follow. The first one is Indochino and the second one is eShakti. And these are both clothing companies that tailor make clothes to fit, tailored to fit everybody who orders. So if you go in, you put your measurements in, you can go in, you can modify the clothes and, with the materials you want, the type of fabric you want, if you want pockets or not, if you want buttons or not, you can completely customize it, and then they make the clothes to fit you. So Indochino, these are mostly products for men. These are suits and dress shirts, khakis, things like that, mostly. eShakti is a company that makes clothes for women. Very nice quality, made to order to fit you, to fit your body. And so this is an example of mass customization. So here we have Baseball Magazine. And what we've got is this is actually the same issue. So the content of all these are exactly the same. But what they've done is they have different covers for different markets. So depending on where you are in the country, you will see a different cover of the magazine to try and get people in that market to buy it. So they've taken it, one product from many markets, and customized it to fit those markets. Kind of interesting. Lots of magazines and newspapers do this, where what you see will vary slightly from place to place. So segmentation, dividing the market up, it is, if we do it right, it's of huge benefit to us. Because we're going to more efficiently use our resources to go after a market. We're more likely to get a customer. Basically, we're going to find someone who's willing to pay. But it's not perfect. So what we're always trying to do is find this balance between synergy and cannibalization. So synergy is kind of where we segment things up and we divide it in such a way that we have products or lines that complement each other. So, for instance, Toyota used to have Scion, which was their entry-level car. They had Toyota, which was their sort of midpoint car, and then Lexus, which is their luxury car. And so each one of those is designed to go after a different set of customers. So that, the synergy is, well, we can spend less on development, we can spend less on our manufacturing and all, because we're buying larger quantities, because we're buying for more cars, and we can manufacture common parts that can be shared between all these different platforms. That's a synergy, that's a benefit where the end result is greater than the inputs. So that's like an operational synergy, it's more efficient. Now, on the other hand, what we are afraid of, or what could happen, is cannibalization. And this is why Toyota actually ended up closing down the Scion line and folding it into Toyota. And cannibalization is, well, we have these separate companies essentially that are selling products, and they're competing. And actually, rather than me getting new customers, by having a entry-level car, Toyota's not pulling customers away, say, from Kia or Hyundai. It turns out what Scion is doing is getting people who would ordinarily buy Toyotas to spend less money, to buy a cheaper car. So they are not gaining any customers. They're actually taking customers away from themselves from a more profitable market. And so that's cannibalization. And we want to avoid that. We don't want to introduce products that only when we have more products in a product line, it costs more to manufacture them. So it should have a large increase in what we're selling. What we don't want to do is roll out a bunch of new products that cost more to manufacture, and then all we're doing is dividing up our existing customer base. So one common way that businesses segment is this Tiffany Walmart type idea, where we're going to have two different stores that are designed to appeal to different markets, and it can be even more than two. So, one of the most famous ones is the Gap. So the Gap is made up of many companies. So at their entry level or less expensive product is Old Navy. And then at the next tier, people are moving up in the amount of money they're going to spend becomes the Gap, and then beyond that is Banana Republic. And so that's an example of this kind of tiered strategy where we have a product or we have a store or a product line that's designed to appeal to a given market. What we're going to do to segment and target a market. First, we identify what the needs of the market are, and then we want to group the buyers into segments. Is there a way to divide this group of people up into segments that make sense, where they're going to behave in similar ways that we can reach and that they will spend money? Then once we've done that, if we have found a way to effectively separate or segment these markets, then we have to make sure that we have products to be sold in the markets in this category. So imagine that what we're going to do is I'm a razor manufacturer, and I've decided, I've been selling razors very successfully, but actually, maybe I could sell more. I sell most of my razors to men. Maybe I could increase my profitability if I could sell some razors to women. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to develop products that are going to appeal to women. And so that's how we get the slightly different razor products with different handles, so they're easier to hold when you're shaving your legs versus shaving your face. We're going to develop those products to be sold in those categories. Then we figure out, we do the market grid where we look at, who's going to be buying which of these products, and so who are we going to advertise to? I probably shouldn't I shouldn't advertise the face razor to women. Outside of people who competitively bike race, I probably shouldn't be selling the leg razors to men. So we start plotting out where the segments lie, and then we select which markets we want to go after. And you want to select the market that you can reach and that you will make money off of. So that when we're selecting market, there's no wrong market as long as it makes money. But you have to decide what market you're going to go after, and then design your products and your marketing approaches to reach that market. Then the last thing is we're going to take the actions. We're going to set the price. We're going to promote the product. We are going to determine where it will be available and how it will be distributed. We're going to do all the things that fall under the 4 Ps to reach that market. So how do we decide what the markets are? Well, here are some criteria. One, we're trying to form markets. Simplicity, right? The division between male and female. That one is pretty easy for most products. That's a pretty easy cutoff point for designing a product usually. And it's cost effective. This is the other side. I can create a market, but if I can't reach them in a cost-effective manner, it doesn't matter. So also we have to think about the markets that we can reach. We want to go after markets that have the potential for increased profit. So imagine that I am Rolex and I sell watches for $10,000 a piece. Now, they could probably make money. Timexes sell for $30 a piece. Could Rolex develop a $30 watch and sell them? Yes, probably. Would it increase their profit? Probably not. So it doesn't necessarily make sense for them to go after that market. Let's see. We want to find segments where all the buyers in a segment have similar needs. So again, for a segment to be viable, you need to be able to reach them, and one of those things is they need to need the same things. So if I am marketing vitamins, everyone in my target segment needs the same type of vitamin for me to be able to efficiently and effectively reach them. I need to be able to identify the differences between the segments, and then I need to identify, can I reach this segment? Do I have the means to advertise and reach this segment? Because a lot of products are sold by word of mouth. And if I can't get into that into that arena, then they will never become aware of my product. So what's the potential for being able to reach them? So some ways that we can segment consumer markets. So we have consumer markets and business markets. We do geographic. So we can do things like by a city or by um, a geographic region. And it's one of those things that's always funny to me when I travel and you go somewhere and you see that products that you're used to aren't available in other markets, or there are different products available. Go to restaurants and you'll often see that depending on where you are in the country or the world, they'll have different products that are available. And so this is their segmentation. This product's going to appeal to the people in this area more so. We can do demographic segmentation, so like gender or race. We can divide the likelihood of using a product up along those lines. We can do it by psychographics, which are things like perception, self-perception and lifestyle. So people who have young children are likely to buy the same types of product regardless of their age or gender. And then we can do behavioral segmentation, which is like how the product is going to be used. What are the benefits that are looking for? So think about something like baking soda. The marketing for baking soda going after people who use it to bake is different than the people who use it for deodorizing. And so you have, these are different segments and you go after them in different ways. Usage rate is the amount that someone uses a product. And one thing you might want to keep in mind is what's called the 80-20 rule. Now, there are lots of 80-20 rules in business, but this one in marketing says that basically about 80% of your profit or revenue are going to come from about 20% of your customers. That you have a core group of customers who use your product a lot that represent most of your business. And as such, those are the ones that you should pay the most attention to. So in the next few slides, I'm going to be talking about segmenting and targeting and things. And I'm going to use Wendy's as an example. And so this is just a chart right here showing how customers who were surveyed kind of viewed Wendy's, Burger King, and McDonald's and their likelihood that they're going to visit. So for McDonald's has about 3% of the population that views McDonald's as their only option when they're going out for a hamburger or for fast food. And Wendy's and Burger King have a much smaller proportion. You have about 10% of people view Wendy's as their primary choice of restaurant, about another 16 as their secondary choice. And for the most part, people view it as, well, if it's available, it's in the mix. And I'll think about it. And then all three of them, curiously enough, have about 15% that will not choose them. So this is just kind of how people view the restaurant, their likelihood to go eat at it. So what in this case, what Wendy's is trying to do is they're looking at opening a Wendy's on a campus. And so they're trying to decide what markets to go after, how to divide them up, who their markets are, the best way to advertise to them. So what they do is they do a little research and they find that they have students and non-students. Okay, so they've started to divide up their market. And with the students, those are kind of broken down into some groups. You have those that live on campus. So you have those that live in dorms or sorority houses or fraternity houses versus those that live nearby in apartments. Then you have people who commute in during the day, and then you have night students who commute in at night. And so these are all very different groups of students. A night commuter, off the bat is probably is going to spend less time on campus, is probably older, and so their needs are going to be different. And I'd be willing to bet, I haven't looked ahead, but the night commuters are probably going to have to get dinner because they're coming in after work, and they're going to have limited time. Now, we also have non-students that could eat at this potential Wendy's on campus. And so those are made up of faculty and staff of the college. We also have residents, people who live near the college. They could come on campus and eat there. And then we have people who are working in the area, and they also could come in and eat. So Wendy's, these are potential segments for and potential markets for Wendy's. So they're trying to decide who to go after. Now, I want to say we can also segment organizational markets or markets that are designed for B2B, business to business sales. And so we can do geographical segmentation. So you divide it up either by part of the country or by some sort of statistical area. We can do demographic segmentation, the type of business, or even business size. So like the needs of a large business are going to be different than a mom and pop. And again, we can use usage rate as a segmentation, those who use the product a lot versus those who use the product rarely. So we're back to Wendy's here. So we've got the Wendy's, we've started looking at the people who are likely to eat in there. So now let's start looking at the products. The first thing we can do is divide them up by meal period. So Wendy's potentially could have breakfast as one of the things they offer. They could have lunch. They could have snacks during the day. They could have dinner, and then they could have dinner or snacks after the normal dinner period. So all of these are product lines that potentially Wendy's could offer depending on what their research indicates is likely to sell. So once Wendy's has gone out and done some research and they're starting to look at who's going to use their product, they can break it down even more. So they've got their different products along the top. They have then the market segments along the side. So they've got male versus female, or why, or then they have like sort of the behavioral people. Why are you choosing this product? And it could be based on price, or it could be because you like meat, or it could be because of convenience. So they've broken it out that way. And then they have students or those who have a university affiliation, like students and staff, versus those who don't. So that would be like people who live in the area or workers nearby. And so what they've done is they've done some research, and they have asked people, are you likely to choose this product? And then they divided them up by how they fit in the different categories. So if you'll see, like men, primary product they're likely to buy is a hamburger. So if we look at hamburgers, the hot and juicy hamburger, is likely to appeal to men, to meat lovers, and people who are affiliated with the university. Whereas if we go and look at, let's say, what's a different product? The baked potato. It's going to equally appeal to men and women. It's going to appeal primarily for convenience and for those who are on the campus, although it does also have a lesser appeal for those who are health conscious and those who are not on campus. So all these, this gives Wendy's some idea about how to start marketing their product, who they should advertise to, where they should place their ads. Because depending on what you're going to eat and who you are, you're going to, there are different ways to advertise this. The things that students are exposed to are different than the ones that, say, faculty are exposed to, and the way they're likely to order and the types of products they want are different. So you should cater to those needs. So here, we've divided the market up, and we've created this grid, markets versus products, and we've estimated the size of the markets, whether it's primary or secondary. And so we're going to take that information and we're going to start trying to make some decisions. So here we have some market segments that Wendy's can use. We have the student and the non-student. So we're just going to look at the student selection at first. So we have those that live in the dormitory, those that live in an apartment, those that are commuters, and those that are night commuters. And if you look at it right here, if you just look at total numbers, those that live in apartments, right there, that you should figure out, how do I appeal to those customers? Because they're the largest potential market. If you look, we have the lunch is a large market, the between snack is a large market for the apartment dwellers, and even then they still are a small market for dinner and after dinner. So right off the bat, what you probably want to do in that instance, You want to have flyers that you put in the mailboxes of the apartment buildings nearby, maybe with coupons or buy one get one free type offers or stuff like that. But things that's going to appeal to those that live in the apartments near campus, and that's going to be different. Another strong market to go after is day commuter. So what do you want to do there? Well, you probably want to do flyers under the windshield wiper because that's going to reach that market. And again, that's a large market that you want to go after. So this grid helps you kind of decide who to go after and how to reach them. Okay. So when we're selecting our target markets, what makes a market worthwhile? Well, the size. Again, and when we say size, large isn't necessarily uh, the correct answer, but what you want is a market that is sufficiently large that there's enough to be profitable. So a lot of defense manufacturers have a market of one. Their only market is U.S. Military, but that's a big market, so it's sufficiently large. So one, decide on the market size, on the growth. You don't want to select a product. You don't want to select a market that's dying out. You want to select one that has growth for the future. Your competitive position. It would be really hard to start a soft drink company and go head to head with Coca-Cola. You don't want to do you wouldn't want to do a mass market soft drink. That's going to be hard. Maybe you could do an artisan soft drink or something around the edges. You have to think about the competitive position. How are you going to position yourself relative to the people you're going to be going up against? The cost of reaching the segment. So again, do you have the resources to be able to reach a segment? You can have a market out there that's very valuable, but if it's one of those situations where you have to spend millions of dollars to get them, do you have those resources? And if you don't, then you need to select a different market. And does the product and the segment match what your organization is about? So think about Wendy's, trying to reach a certain market. I would say selling a burrito is probably not compatible with their organization. That just doesn't fit with their customers and what they're about. So again, you look at that. So back to the Wendy's thing, what they decided to do is focus on the student segments only because those were the largest groups. They weren't going to not They weren't going to go after the non-student segments. They weren't going to do breakfast because, again, breakfast looked to be a non-profitable or a smaller segment. So again, they want to go after the. So what does Wendy's do? They decide, well, the day commuters, the people who are driving in, that is a segment they need to go after. The between meal snacks, people on campus between meal periods, that's a group they're going to go after. And then they're going to do dinner for the people who are night commuters. And so that's the group that, these are the groups that they've decided to go after in this case where they're building a Wendy's on a campus. And how do they do that? Like I said, they're going to put flyers on the cars. The between meal snacks, they'll probably offer specials like early bird specials or things like that to pull people in during those times when it's slow. That's a strategy they'll probably pursue. So, Wendy's always going to have to keep an eye on competition because even though the hamburger business is incredibly competitive, there's still new entries into the market who are changing it, like Five Guys. Now, Five Guys has had less of an impact on McDonald's, but more of an impact on Wendy's. And why is that? Well, because they both, even though Five Guys is a more expensive product, they both go after that fresh beef, never frozen market. So what can Wendy's do? Well, continue to advertise the fact that they're selling their product fresh because that's a selling point versus McDonald's and Burger King. They can work on making it more convenient for the customers to get it during the periods they want. Since they're on a campus, maybe become the official hamburger of the NCAA. All these things are marketing choices to try and reach the segment they're going after. Okay, let's see. Oh, so positioning the product. So product positioning. how do you think of a product line? So if, I'm talking about, say, Rolls-Royce. We think of Rolls-Royce as being a very expensive, high-end luxury product, and so that's their positioning. And it would not make sense for Rolls-Royce to offer an economy car, and it wouldn't make sense for Rolls-Royce to offer hats. It just doesn't fit with their product and their image. So we have to think about the mental space that our products occupy in our customers' minds, and we want to be consistent in that, make it work so that it makes sense for the customer. So the product positioning is kind of how your product is perceived by your customers, kind of like where it fits in their mental map. Now, sometimes it's necessary to reposition a product, and a good example of this are these shoes we got right here. So, what are these shoes called? These Converse All-Stars. These are Chuck Taylors, these sneakers. Now, the Chuck Taylor the shoe is over 100 years old. And when it first came out, it was a basketball shoe. Now, I don't think anyone in their right mind would play basketball in a pair of Chuck Taylors today. There are much better options out there. And yet, Chuck Taylors are still wildly popular. Well, relatively, for a shoe. And it's because they continue to successfully reposition themselves. Chuck Taylors, they do an amazing job of always kind of positioning themselves as the countercultural youth market shoe, or that's what they've tried to do. So that they're constantly trying to reintroduce it, not as a sports shoe, but as a fashion statement. And so that's a repositioning. Some different approaches to product positioning when you're thinking about your competitors is you can do a head-to-head positioning, which is where you're saying my product is better, and as such, we'll compare it on the criteria that people are most likely to use. So you see this in advertising for trucks all the time. They'll talk about this truck gets this mileage and can tow this much weight. That's a head-to-head. They're saying my truck is better than this truck, Ford versus Chevrolet or Ram or whatever. And so they go head-to-head to compare to position. And so that's one way to position your product, is just to go directly against your competitor. Now the other one is to differentiate and say that we offer a different set of benefits out there that no one else offers. And so that is why you should select our product. Not that we're the best at this, it's just we're the only ones that offer, or we offer this particular set of qualities. So what this positioning, we use it on what's called a perceptual map, and I'll show you a perceptual map in a second. But we try and figure out what attributes are important for the product, right? What do customers care about? Is it price? Is it quality? Is it longevity? Is it color? So we try and figure out what it is the customer is interested in. And then we have the customers rate different brands or different products for these attributes. And then we can kind of plot out where we stand on this combination of attributes. And then once we know where we stand on this set of attributes, we can work to position ourselves maybe in a more profitable segment. So I'll give you I'll show you an example right in a second. So chocolate milk. Chocolate milk, the way it's marketed in the last few years has really changed. And the goal has been they found, we're selling lots of chocolate milk to kids. Well, okay, we've kind of saturated that market. How do we go after the adult market? So what they need to do is, one, what are the important attributes for adult drinks? What is it adults want from their drinks? Two, how do adults view these different choices they have? How do customers view chocolate milk? And then can we change chocolate milk in a way to make it appeal to adults? So that's the idea. So here is the perceptual map. And what they found that people who bought drinks, what they were concerned with was this spectrum of nutrition. So we have low nutrition versus high nutrition, and then we have adult drinks versus children's drinks. So For instance, the low nutrition children's drink would be fruit flavored drinks, whereas tea is kind of a high nutrition, is viewed as a high nutrition adult drink. Orange juice is viewed neutrally between as high nutrition, but it's neither adult nor children. And what chocolate milk has been able to successfully do is reposition themselves from a high nutrition kids drink to now they also sell as a high nutrition adult drink. And the thing that chocolate milk has done really successfully, and I'd like you to Google this, is Google chocolate milk sports recovery drink. And there are tons and tons of articles about how chocolate milk contains everything you need as a recovery drink after you work out. And it's actually been very successful. That combined with kind of, especially if you look at like the Promised Land milk there in the picture, or even Borden's with their Dutch chocolate, these are more upscale. Like kids don't care if something has Dutch chocolate; they just want chocolate milk. And these are designed to be more upscale and appeal to adults. So chocolate milk has actually been successful as repositioning themselves into a new market to increase their profitability. Okay, so that is it for Chapter 8. There will, I'll go ahead and tell you, there are no questions. There's no quiz this week for Chapter 8 because you have 6 marketing questions to answer, and I thought that was probably enough for Chapter 8, enough material for you guys to get graded on. So if you have any questions, please email me or hit me up for a phone call or Zoom, and I'm happy to talk to you. Have a great week.